All right, we're being live streamed. So welcome, Junell. It's so great to see you. We haven't connected in a little bit. I know you've been doing some great things, working in a variety of different positions. You had like some major changes as you finished school. So thank you for joining me on this pre-conference for our GamiCon48V. I'm delighted that you're here with us.
Well, thank you, Monica, and thank you so much for having me.
So little background, Junell and I met because she went through our certification programs, and she has been such a champion for gamification and really got a lot of involvement from the faculty and leadership in different departments when she was at Bethune-Cookman. And then she implemented some gamification because of her different roles that she was doing at the university. Finished her schooling, made the transition. So let's talk about what you've been working on. So start with me with what you did at Bethune. What was the focus of the gamification there? I know you did a couple different projects.
Right. So initially, I created a gamified learning experience with students who were interested in entering our Data Scholars Program. And there we focused on corporate culture competencies and data visualization tasks. So my job was to prepare them to learn about data visualization tasks. We worked on confidence building, skill building, and we brought in different faculty members to teach them different technical skills. But I pretty much served as the creator of the gamified learning experience as well as the project manager. We also placed that on STEM for All, where I was recognized for what I created.
Excellent. Now, you ran that. You also were the facilitator to making sure that all ran properly also, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then later on, I was selected to be on our QEP for the quality enhancement program at Bethune-Cookman University, where I was the chair. So there was a call for concept papers, and my concept paper won. So while I was there, I also taught faculty members how to incorporate gamification into their classroom, of which I brought you on as one of our speakers.
Right. Yeah, I met a lot of really super smart people. I'm like, I don't even know I should be in this room. Like, what words are you people saying? Yeah, it was so much fun. And the variety of where the applications would be. So like there's a colleague that you brought in also, and she's doing her level 3 master craftsman certification with her study of oysters and their importance in the region. And I was like, this is a first for us. And it's just so exciting to see what she's doing. So lots of great applications. Now you've moved on from the university. That's correct, right? Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what kind of work have you been doing lately? What are you focusing on?
Okay, so now I'm completing my dissertation. So I will be finished with that. Actually, I'll be finished next month, but graduation isn't until August. And I investigated the effect of digital game-based learning on student self-efficacy to perform data visualization tasks. So with that, I created a framework where I paired Bandura's 4 levels of self-efficacy with game mechanics to move students through the process. So of course, as you taught me about leveling up, I made certain that it was fun, that it was relevant, so that students would want to first engage in it, and then they can overcome their barriers to first learning about it, and then to actually perform the tasks that were necessary.
Yeah. Who are the students that you were, I'm going to say targeting, but the core group that this was designed for? Who are those students?
Those were for freshmen and sophomore students at the university. And especially those who were non-STEM majors, because what I found in my research is that a lot of those students felt like it wasn't for them, that it was for those smart students, for those STEM students. So another feature of my dissertation project involved imposter phenomenon, not imposter syndrome, but imposter phenomenon. And I measured what their traits were prior to them engaging in the learning intervention, and then I measured them afterwards. And I found that there was a decrease in their levels of imposter phenomenon traits after having gone through the digital game-based learning experience.
So that's super interesting. And I have like 6 million questions now from that, what you just said. So help me understand, what is the difference between imposter phenomenon and imposter syndrome?
Well, for the doctors who created the imposter phenomenon, they didn't want to call it imposter syndrome because they said it sounded too clinical. It sounded as almost as if it was some type of mental illness. But with the imposter phenomenon, they found that it primarily affected women, with women feeling like they were frauds, like somehow their successes were attributed to luck, or they were just in the right place at the right time, and they had a hard time internalizing their successes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really interesting. So I know, you have a complete dissertation around this, but anything that really stood out to you from your research that you were either surprised by the finding, or you recognized it as, this is something that you imagined would be a result, but then you saw it actually. So anything really stand out to you from your research that you did for your dissertation?
I was surprised by how many students have invisible disabilities. So a lot of students reported having anxiety around learning about statistical concepts. So there, of course, is a term called statistical anxiety. But on a broader scale, there was a large number of participants who experience anxiety around learning anything that dealt with a new concept that was considered as difficult, and more specifically around technical concepts.
Huh. And was your audience primarily female, or was it
no, it was
mixed?
It was mixed. It was almost evenly mixed. It was almost evenly mixed. So that was quite surprising to discover. Now, because I used to be intimidated by technology, I assumed that I would see it, but certainly not to that magnitude.
Right. Yeah. And so here's a little fun note about Junell, since she opened that door, is that as Junell started coming through the certifications, from her background, where she came from, she hadn't had access to different authoring tools and platforms. It just was not where she had been studying. And so because she's mixed in with all these different instructional designers and developers, she got exposed to a bunch of new technology. And the great thing about Junell is she was always the first to jump in, like into the deep end, like, how do I do this? And I'm going to use this technology to create this gamified application that I'm using at this event. And I'd be like, oh, that's a lot of learning going on right there. But you did it. Like, you did not. So any fear that might have been there, it wasn't evidence, because you were just like, didn't do it before, but I'm going to do it now. I'm going to learn how to do this. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
A can-do attitude will always assist. Always.
Yeah, that's really good. So where do you see, what would you like, if you could paint your perfect career moving forward? What would you like? Do you want to be in academia, or would you like to be more in a corporate or not-for-profit, or?
I would like to be in a corporate setting as a project manager. So I found that a lot of what I was already doing was project management. Definitely everything that I did in my dissertation is project management.
Mhm.
And when I had the opportunity on a very, very brief project, the light bulb went off. I said, this is my aha moment. This is what I want to do for the rest of my days. So
Right.
I'm leaning heavily in that direction. So right now, because I'm a lifelong learner, I'm in the process of completing a Google certification in project management.
Nice. Very nice. I know we use the Reese motivational profile as our learner persona tool, one of our tools for development, and you jumped right in and got certified as a Reese, not right, correct what the correct term is, but to administer and debrief with in the corporate. Did you do education or corporate?
Did
Cert
corporate. I did
corporate?
corporate. So
Yeah.
I certainly want to incorporate that into my consulting practice.
Very good, really good. I just think there's so much opportunity out there for someone with your skill set, creativity. You're not just a self-starter, you're a self-finisher. You know, like oftentimes people say, well, we need self-starters. And I'm like, well, what we really need is self-finishers, like people who will see it through. And that is definitely one of your traits. So this looks really exciting as we think about you getting your PhD in this area. So as you think about, like, you know, we got to meet Dr. Eso and all these great faculty members at the University of Bethune-Cookman. And as you think about introducing gamified, game-based learning into higher ed courses, imagine that there was like a dean or someone like Dr. Eso, head of a department, that is curious about what this means for their students. What would you want them to know about gamification?
I would want them to know that it is a medium that will help with the motivation for students. So oftentimes I found that students would not remain engaged in a subject matter if it wasn't relevant for them. So with gamification, I make sure, first of all, that whatever experience I'm creating that is relevant, then I find a way to capture and to maintain learners' attention through what I learned from you all, pairing game mechanics with the students' motivation. So I even had an opportunity while I was at Bethune-Cookman to use the Reese motivation profile to ascertain what motivated students. And then with those motivations, I paired those with game mechanics to cause students to act within that gamified learning environment. And most importantly, there should be a carrot to dangle, so to speak, so that you can pull the students in to keep them moving forward. So that pretty much is a prize where they will say, if I complete this, then I will attain this. But equally as important, it is important to have a consequence so that students will understand, if I don't complete this, these are the consequences that will follow.
Yeah. And when you think about that, you know, it's always, you know, grades weigh so heavily, but I know during pandemic and even pre-pandemic, you know, we started to see an uptick at university level of students just not completing, right? Like just not, like dropping out mid-semester, not completing their degrees. I know it got magnified during shutdown, which of course is fully understandable because, you know, the whole world was turned upside down. And I think about the importance of your work in keeping students in the program so they complete and get their degree, and the impact that has for generations to come because they completed. And I know for a lot of the students, it might be the first generation that was actually at a university level going for their degrees. So it has just such huge, you know, the ripple effect of it can go out so far. It's just so, the work you're doing and that you've done and with your, it's just such important work to be shared then with other universities as far after you publish and you complete that of what your findings are and how they can start using it also. Such a
Absolutely.
great, yeah, really good. I hope you feel really good. Do you feel good about what you've done?
I do.
Yeah,
I am very excited. I'm very excited and definitely ready to share my findings.
yeah, so exciting, so very good. So when do you finish technically?
Well, technically, okay, so I am preparing for my defense now. My
Yeah,
defense
I
should
know
take
it's
place.
just such a, ooh, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly. So that should take place sometime next month, and then graduation will take place in August. And I'm still in the process of writing my 2 manuscripts because I have to publish 2 manuscripts prior to graduation as well.
yeah, excellent. Well, we want to stay with you on this journey and celebrate with you each step of the way, and help to share your research once you're able to do that, once we can get it out there and impact other students and centers for learning and excellence for faculty and students at different universities. I just think that the potential is really huge here for what can help other students to really make that change and be at that place where they're feeling really good about what they've done. And that word consequence is so interesting because in the English language, it always has that negative connotation, right? Like there will be consequences, and consequence is just an action of a behavior. So there's also really great consequences for taking the actions that keep them engaged and moving towards that success image, whatever that image looks like. So really good. Well, Junell, thank you so much. I knew I would thoroughly enjoy this. I'm so happy we're getting to reconnect, and hope that you will pop in for the 48-hour GamiCon. Jonathan will make sure we're getting the Remo all set up today to be getting those links out to everyone who can participate. So I know people will want to stop by and visit with you at one of the tables and ask you questions. So as much as you can be there during the 48 hours, we'd love to have you engage there. So
Absolutely, I'll be
all
there.
right, good, Junell. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great
Thank you
seeing
again,
you.
Monica.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.